Welcome back, everyone. My name is Eric Paulzine with 9 to 5 Sports, and I'm going to be giving you guys the picks, previews, and the core plays here for the Charles Schwab Challenge. We'll begin into last week's recap as well. Pretty fun week there for the PGA Championship. Nice to see Phil taking it down. And honestly, guys, let's start off here with this hot take. To me, that was the most impressive win I can remember in my golf watching history. Tiger's was awesome, but Tiger had been playing well coming into the 2019 Masters. Phil had not. Okay, Phil's had shown some upside here and there in some tournaments where he could go low here and there, but he always had some blow-up holes. I mean, he had the lead a couple of tournaments ago going into the second or third round, and he blew up. You know, everyone was kind of expecting him to blow up. So for him to not do that, it was pretty impressive. I mean, I had to go back and check this, but to this date, he was the worst winner in my model, which is absolutely crazy. And the model did a great job last week and has done a great job this whole year. He's the first winner that was not projected to make the cut that week. Absolutely insane. Great win there by Phil. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but I do want to just say here as well, I am going to be doing the format slightly different. It's going to be pretty much the same, but it's going to be slightly different. The only difference is that the specific core plays are going to be at the very end. It seemed like there was a little bit of confusion with that, so I just wanted to spell that out to you guys. It's going to be at the very end. So let's get into the picks, previews, and core plays for this week. So starting off, I do want to touch on last week's recap. So last week was a pretty great week there. Actually, for the second straight week in the round 3 showdown, had a top 10 finish personally, so that's pretty awesome. The 9 to 5 showdown tools continue to really dominate, which has been a very nice thing in terms of maybe the player pool having a tough round 1. It's been nice to be able to use that for round 2 or round 3, which is exactly how you should be using, kind of the showdown slate. So that's been a nice little anchor there. But just going over, so 78% of the player pool ended up making the cut. Of the top 20 plays, and I break it down to top 20 because there was 20 players listed as core plays, high exposure plays, or mid exposure plays. 90% of those players made the cut. So obviously with the player pool, the lower you go down, the lower likelihood they should be to succeed. So the low exposure plays and the value plays were the ones that didn't hit as much, which is exactly how you want it to work out. You want those low exposure plays and those value plays to kind of, while the low exposure plays maybe have a little bit more upside, and the value plays, you just really want them to make the cut. But the core plays all did well. If Brian Harman just freaking makes a putt on 18, it is a massive week. Ends up bogeying and missing the cut. A lot of news came out saying that, it was a lefty's course. Well, F that, because freaking Brian Harman was a lefty and he missed the cut. If he makes the cut, it's a huge week. That was unfortunate, but Charlie Hoffman did well, Answer did well, Casey did well. Neiman kind of choked on Sunday, but still a top 30 finish. That was pretty sweet. Then just looking over, so of top 10 finishes, 5 of those players were rated inside the top 11 for the 9 to 5's player pool. Pretty darn sweet. And the one thing that continues to happen is that this PGA Championship major is one of the easiest majors to cash in. It's very nice, kind of easier week to cash in had you just played smart builds. But let's break down the tournament preview now. So going over the tournament preview, this is going to be the Charles Schwab Challenge played at Colonial Country Club. This is one that we've seen quite a bit. It's a very unique course because, well, it is really going to be the first tournament in which the shorter players are going to have some sort of advantage. We see that strokes gained around the green is going to be a key stat. And looking at the past 4 winners, we can kind of see what type of player it takes to go out and win here. Daniel Berger, Kevin Na, Justin Rose, Kevin Kisner. All those guys are going to be great ball strikers. They're going to be great around the green. They're not going to make many mistakes. They're able to hit their shots. So when we're looking at the key stats there, we'll be able to see kind of what we want to be able to target. And that's what I did using the 9 to 5 tournament data sheet. But going over the average win score, we see it's right around 15 under par. Average cut line is going to be 1.5. Kind of interesting there, a little bit over par. But going over the key stats, par 4 scoring. This is a par 70 course. Par 4 scoring is going to be the most significant here if you're just looking for like one stat. But do like to look at ball striking. Effective greens gained is something I'm going to be looking at as well. Strokes gained putting, we can look at effective bogey to birdie ratio. Going to be looking at that, and effective strokes gained around the green. I'm also going to be looking at effective scoring as well. All those are going to be 9 to 5 stats for those effective stats. Going over the players that had the top course history. Jordan Spieth has been a stud at this course, guys. 4 straight make cuts here at this tournament. He has finished 10th, 8th, 32nd, and 2nd here in the last 2 years. Peter Uihlein as well, 2 straight top 20 finishes, pretty good there. Tony Finau popping up there. He's a name that some people might end up on. 23rd, 2nd, and 29th place finish. Brian Harman, Corey Connors are some other names. Then you got Justin Rose popping up there as well. Might intrigue some people into him as a play. 3rd, 58th, and 1st place finish for course history. Then going over recent form, well, Jordan Spieth is popping up there now as well. Jordan Spieth has finished 30th, 9th, 3rd, 1st, and 9th over his last 5 starts. That's pretty darn spectacular. There you got Abraham Ancer, who just continues to make cuts. Same with someone like Joaquin Niemann, who he's not featuring this. You got Charlie Hoffman popping up here, Abraham Ancer, Brent Snedeker, and Colin Morikawa. Guys, this field is loaded with players that are going to be in good quality recent form. So it's going to be a fun tournament to go out and target. And then just kind of looking at the players that are going to be the top stat fits this week. It's going to be a fun week. But we got Joaquin Niemann, Daniel Berger, Corey Connors, Abraham Ancer, Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Sungjae Im, and Cameron Tringale kind of rounding that out. So enough with the preview. Let's get into the picks for this week. All right, so breaking down the high tier price point range, once again, just covering the top 4 picks in each price point range. We're going to start off with Jordan Spieth. So Jordan Spieth is going to be a quality pick this week, guys. Has phenomenal course history. Has finished 10th, 8th, 32nd, and 2nd here in the past 4 years, which is absolutely spectacular. Okay, we look at his recent form rank. He is the first player for recent form rank, top recent form in the field. He's finished 30th, 9th, 3rd, 1st, 9th, 48th, and 4th. Even going further back, he'd be elite there as well. Really, the only knock on him is going to be that stat fit rank, where he ranks 57th in that. And that is why 9to5 came up with this 9to5 specialist tool here. Now, yes, you can use it to look at some of the other kind of fun stuff, green type, weather, course yards, course designer. Heck, you could even sort by player location. So if you just wanted to look at Texas-based players, you could look at that. But what we're going to be looking at is Jordan Spieth specifically over the past 10 weeks. Just see how he's been playing. We can see that his stats would be much better. And this is why I like using this tool. You should always be looking at season-long stats to get the most kind of accurate picture of what to expect from a player. But every now and then there's a player that really was just horrible at the start of the season, stat-wise, and they've been playing much better recently. That's going to be Jordan Spieth. So just kind of something that you want to look at instead of just assuming that he's a good stat fit, just given his recent form. And obviously a lot of recent form rank will be based on how they're playing stat fit wise. But Jordan Spieth, just want to point that out, that he has been playing much better recently. We can even see over the long term been much better recently over the past 3 months. So great to see that with Jordan Spieth. He's going to be a quality pick for you guys this week. Then moving on to Abraham Ancer, really just a great pick. He's a guy that's really checking all the boxes. I see no reason not to play him this week. Recent form ranked 2nd, just behind Jordan Spieth there. And we can see 8th, 2nd, 5th, 18th, 26th, 23rd, 18th, 22nd. I mean, Abraham Ancer has been a stud. Stat fit wise, could be a little bit better in an effective strokes gain around the green. That could be a little bit better, but overall, really not too worried about it because he's just been hitting the ball really well. And his effective scoring rank, which is just a accumulation of a bunch of data that I put together, ranks out top 20 in that. 9 straight made cuts, ranks out top 3 in the model, 81% chance to make the cut. Abraham Ancer makes a ton of sense as a pick this week. Really think he's going to be a strong play for you guys. But the problem with him is that we got Corey Connors at this price point here as well, who Corey Connors is going to be a player that I touched on later on in this video. And there's also another player just priced below Jordan Spieth that I'll be touching on a little bit later on in this video, so stay for that. But I do want to touch on Joaquin Niemann here to close out the high tier price point range. Course history rank is not bad. So what I like to do is I like to look at the last 3 years specifically, but obviously, you got to factor in the 4th year a little bit. Missed the cut 4 years ago. Since then, 8th, 31st, and then most recently 32nd place finish. So really love to see that. Really checking all the boxes there. Recent form ranked 6th there. Let's see. Any missed cuts? No, he's made 12 straight cuts in a row. 30th, 18th, 8th, 40th, 18th, 29th, 28th. So really the worry with him is that I would say last week being in contention, just have to shoot maybe -2, -3 to put some pressure on. He had a bad round. Maybe the pressure got to him a little bit too much. That's really the only knock I can see on him, is that like, ooh, he might have a little bit of a hangover effect of that pressure getting to him, because guys, he's the first best stat rank play. I mean, there's no reason not to play Joaquin Niemann this week, other than the fact that you think he's going to be due for a miscut. Joaquin Niemann is entirely a great play this week, and I see no reason why we can't play him. Honestly, guys, these top 4 players and the other core play that I'm going to mention later on, loaded field. I love those picks. It's going to be a fun week to try to figure out which ones to kind of smash into your builds. All right, so moving down to that mid-tier price point range, got the top 4 players listed here, and I do want to start off with Justin Rose. Justin Rose is pretty much, he's not the exact same play as Jordan Spieth, but a very similar feel of a play as to that of Jordan Spieth. Really strong course history, 3rd, 58th, and first place finish here in the last 4 years. Not going to be a good staff, and we'll touch on that in a second here. A lot of you guys probably already saw him pulled up here on the specialist page, but not as good of recent form, but he has shown that upside. 8th last week, miscut the Valspar, and then a 7th at the Masters. So he has shown that upside, and I forget which event it was now, but there was an event recently where he was like top 5 in strokes gained total, but had to withdraw with an injury. So really, for 3 of his last 4 events, he's been playing very great. If you get him at an event where he's going to be comfortable, I really like that. So just focusing on Justin Rose here on the 9-5 specialist page, Justin Rose has been, pretty good over the last 10 weeks. Grades out as someone that should make the cut, but, let's trim it down a little bit further there. Let's just look at the last, let's go 6 weeks. See if it gets a little bit better there for Justin Rose. Just kind of curious. Yeah, it does improve a little bit more. 3 events, 10 rounds total. See, his birdie to bogey ratio has been much better. We do like to see that. Overall, everything is looking top 50 or so in the field, except for strokes gained around the greens. That's going to have to improve. But if he's going to be putting that well, we like that. Overall, we can see nothing really elite. This is more of a play where you don't want to go crazy with it, but you can definitely make an argument to fit him into your build as definitely like a flyer pick, a high upside pick, but obviously it's going to be much more risky. If you're doing a cash build, not someone that you want to play, but if you're playing a GPP build, does make sense. You can shoot for that upside there with Justin Rose. Another pick that I really like, and I didn't see this coming, is going to be Billy freaking Horschel. Okay, Billy Horschel went out and had a good round 3. He was one of those players that were in my round 3 showdown build there. Played well. 23rd place finish, 25th place finish at the RBC Heritage. Overall been playing pretty decent golf this year. A little bit shocking there. 6 straight made cuts in a row. Pretty good course history here as well. 38th, 19th, and 34th place finish. Overall, he ranks as a top 15 stat fit. I did not see that coming because Billy Horschel is typically not a good stat fit really ever. He's not bad, but he's never like popping out top 15 wise. It's normally like top 25 or so. So the fact that he's going to be a top 15 stat fit in this field, I really like that, which it makes sense why, a guy checking all the boxes, he's going to rate out as top 5 in the model. Do you like Billy Horschel as a pick at that price point? Not exactly sure I can trust him in cash because, well, we get a quality pick here like Charlie freaking Hoffman. That's another one of those picks that I'll touch on later on in this video. Do want to mention Brian Harman though. So Brian Harman coming off of that miscut, missed the cut on the number, he should have made the cut, okay? Had a 32-foot putt for birdie, hit it to about 9 feet and missed the 9-foot putt. He just makes the cut. It's a huge week last week. It wasn't a bad week. It was a pretty good week, but massive week if he makes the cut. He was the best in recent form last week. That's because, quality starts 18th, 13th, 12th, 5th, and 3rd over those recent cut or events. So it's no surprise they miss a cut. I shouldn't say it's no surprise they miss a cut. It's more or less the fact that it might have been due for a miscut. PGA Championship, tougher event. I'm not too worried about it. It's really the point that I'm trying to make here. The fact that we can get him at a cheaper cost at a tournament that he's played well at 23rd, 31st, 14th, and 7th place finish. I really like that. Definitely expecting to bounce back for Brian Harman, who ranks out as a top 20 stat fit this week, ranks out top 5 in the model. If he had made the cut last week, he would be graded out a little bit better, probably would be top 4 in the model. Would be a little bit better in recent form rank as well. But Brian Harman, I'm not too worried about that miscut, and I think he's going to be a quality pick for us this week. All right, so now moving down to that low tier price point range. This range is really loaded with players and picks that you could really talk yourself into if you wanted to. That's kind of the trouble with this range this week, is that there's not a lot of elite plays, and I would almost say that there's not a single elite play in this price point range, but there's a lot of quality picks that you can talk yourself into. I kind of went with the safer approach and one player that has extreme upside in this kind of tier, and you're going to have to end up here in your main build, in your cash build, and in GPPs. So these are the picks that I kind of ended up on the most. And isn't it kind of strange that in each price point tier, they're kind of the exact same player at the top salary of that price point tier? So we had Jordan, we had Billy Horschel, and now we have Brent Snedeker, who is pretty much the exact same play as them, just a little bit worse, which Billy Horschel was a little bit worse than Jordan Spieth. So good course history here, 19th, 42nd, and 48th place finish. 3 straight made cuts with a top 30 finish in there. We like to see that. Good recent form. We look at that recent form, 17th, 11th, 42nd, and 6th place finish. We like to see that as well. The problem with him, just like those other two, is that on paper, if we're just looking at the season-long stats, not going to be that good of a stat fit. The only difference with someone like Brent Snedeker this week is that, he's really not going to be that good of a stat fit. Now, he would grade out as someone that would be right around a made cut overall. He ranks out top 75 or better in all the stats we're looking at, except for kind of the accuracy-based stats. That's not that good. But if we want to just go down here, we can see that he is improving by a lot here. 50% better average finish over the past 10 starts compared to his season-long average. We do like to see that. So not someone that I would directly go out of my way to play, but he is someone that you could definitely fit into some of your GPP builds. Someone that I feel fine with playing in GPP builds, given the fact that he has good course history, given the fact that he does have good recent form. And that's just kind of the week that we have, guys. You're going to have to play someone that you don't exactly feel comfortable with. Now moving on into Emiliano Grillo. So Grillo, pretty good course history here, guys. Miscut last year, which I should have mentioned this. This was the first event after the huge break. So for someone to have a miscut at this event last year, you kind of just, you don't want to write it off, but you just got to know that the variance that occurs in the PGA season is a lot higher at the start of a long break. So the fact that Emiliano Grillo had a miscut here last year, not too alarming to me, especially given his course history prior to that. 19th, 3rd, 24th. Grillo would be a great stat fit if his effective birdie to bogey ratio was a little bit better there, and effective strokes gained around the green. I would say those two really coincide together. Par 4 scoring is alarming, but effective total driving, effective ball striking, effective greens gained, effective scoring are all really good stats, all top 30 there. So we do like to see that. It does rank out top 30 stat fit wise, just because these are horrible stats here, guys, but does rank out top 12 in the model. We can see his recent form. He's been so hit or miss. I'll say that. Really was a little bit shocking for me to see him make the cut at the PGA Championship. Honestly, a little bit bummed out because I was hoping he'd be a little bit cheaper than this. Had he missed the cut, he would have been. But that's kind of the nature of the beast of rostering Grillo, is that when he's on, he's been really on. Really just got to hope for him to have a little bit better week around the greens and putting. So Grillo going to be a great GPP pick for you this week. And that would move in onto our boy Matthew Naismith here, guys. So made the cut here last year. Love to see that. Going to be a good stat fit, top 12 as well. Not that good around the greens. That's going to be the thing that we worry about with him. Kind of same thing with Corey Connors, and like I just said with Grillo, that's going to be the worry that here with Matthew Naismith. But strong and effective total driving and ball striking there. Effective greens gained, top 10 in that. Overall, you can see the stats are really good with him. He's made 2 straight cuts in a row. Overall, some pretty strong performances for him, Matthew Naismith. Good price point for a guy that could easily go out and finish top 25 this week. Don't mind him as a pick at this price point. And then the last one here in this price point range is going to be Brendan Todd. So when I was kind of going over the key stats, his name might not have popped up into your head, but once you started thinking about it, it does make sense for him to potentially have a good week here. And once again, this is kind of where I was trying to say you could really talk yourself into some picks in this price point range. Todd is going to be one of those for me this week. So just looking at, if you want to, the most key stats at this course, I would say are going to be effective strokes gained around the green. We see that a lot. And then par 4 scoring, ranks out really well in that. And he still ranks out as a top 32 stat fit, overall top 54 in the model. Not great, but in terms of course, where you need to hit your fairways and you need to not make that many mistakes, that sounds like Brendan Todd. Recent form wise has been a little hit or miss. Prior to his miscut last week, he was on a good streak there of basically top 35 finishes, like 6 in a row there. So I don't mind Todd at 7.1. It is an okay pick, but for me, there's some value plays that are really standing out. So I would almost say you'd want to go more of the studs and duds approach this week, and we'll get into some of those value picks right now. All right, so pulling up that value tier price point range, we'll start off with Cameron Champ, I really this guy is a little frustrating this year because he should be playing better. I mean, he's a much better quality of player than he's shown this year because he's been kind of bad. He's had some nice stretches, but for the most part, he has been bad. Staff hit wise, 59th this week. That's not good, obviously, and that's why he's priced here in this value price point range. Recent form has been horrible as well. He had made 3 straight cuts in a row, but missed a cut at the PGA Championship as well. Course history, right? That's kind of what we're hanging our hat on here. And the fact that we know if Cameron Champ can put it all together, he can potentially go out and win this one. So, course history wise, 14th and a 58th place finish. That's good. But now, obviously, don't go crazy with this. Not the best value pick this week, but he's a guy where if you're trying to chase some upside, I could see potentially, making a case for him. Does rank out top 30 in the model, has a 51% chance to make the cut. That's okay for a value pick. Now we move on into Brian Stewart, who, course history-wise, really good there. 43rd, 64th, 32nd, and 24th place finish. So 4 straight make cuts. We do like to see that. Not going to be a good staff fit, really, which a little bit shocking there. I thought he would be a little bit better in effective birdie to bogey ratio, maybe par 4 scoring. Thought he would be a little bit better there. And even effective total driving, thought he'd be a little bit better there. Recent form-wise, kind of hit or miss. 2 made cuts in a row, miscut, made cut, miscut, 2 bad finishes, and then a made cut or miscut. So, recent form hasn't really been there, but 50% chance to make the cut for a value play that has good course history. It's okay. Don't go crazy with it. I'm kind of really liking Denny McCarthy this week. Could be kind of a sneakier pick. So just looking at the key stats again for this week, does really kind of rank out well. Top 35 stat fit for a value play. That's not bad. Top 40 in the model for this week. That's not that bad for a value pick. I don't mind it, guys. That is really decent there. He's not really had a good finish here. Made cut, which was a 66th place finish, and then a miscut the previous year. And then just going over his recent form, kind of, I don't know, he's been weird because he's been finding ways to make the cut. Obviously, a lot of it is due to his putter. Made the cut last week. Kind of like that. He's coming off the made cut. 63 though, or 6.3 on DraftKings. That is a crazy price point. He's a little bit better pick on FanDuel as well, if you guys are trying to differentiate between FanDuel and DraftKings. So, yeah, Denny McCarthy, a decent value pick this week. And then really the ultimate head scratcher this week is going to be our boy, Vincent Whaley. What does he have to do to get a price bump? I mean, what is going on here? 9 straight made cuts. Yeah, his staff, it's horrible. It doesn't have a start here in the last 4 years. Okay, I get that. His recent form has been spectacular. He's been a top 30 machine. I don't get this. I don't know. And I pulled him up on the specialist page just to see how he's been playing over the last 10 weeks compared to his whole season as well. We'll pull that up here for you guys to see. So over the past 10 weeks, he's played in 6 events, 24 rounds. We can see just based on the stats, these all rank out as someone that is making the cut. His worst stat being strokes gained to the green, 7th, and that could be a little bit better with the accuracy stats, but not really making that many mistakes. We can see overall been playing much better as a whole recently as well. That is something that we like to see. So over the past 3 months, he's been playing much better than he has throughout the whole season. Love to see a guy playing a little bit better. Vincent Whaley at 6.2 is just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. DraftKings just really keeps trying to force us into these picks where you almost have to. And that's Vincent Whaley this week. 9 straight made cuts in a row. And if we look at the recent data, would be a good stat fit as well. Would be right around top 35 in the field. So Vincent Whaley, going to be tough for me to not pick this week. All right, guys, so we just got done doing the picks and preview there for you, breaking down each price point tier. Now we're going to give you guys the core plays for this week. But first, if you guys enjoyed this video so far, definitely make sure to leave a like on the video. That helps it out a ton. Algorithm friendly, like for 9to5 Sports. And if you guys want to, make sure to subscribe if you are not already. Just going to keep growing this bad boy even more. All right, thanks for watching, guys. And as always, let's keep cashing. Let's get into those core plays now. All right, so the first core play of the week is going to be Collin Morikawa. He actually ranks out first in the model this week, guys. Top player in the 905 model. We do like to see that. Mostly that's due to the fact that he had his first start here last year where he had a top 5 finish, finishing second place. He's going to be a top 6 stat fit as well. And if we're looking at his recent form, while he's going to be in some great recent form, ranking top 5 there with the 8th place finish last week, a 7th, 18th, 56th, 41st, and a first place finish over his last few starts. Really, the only stat that he lacks at is going to be effective strokes gained around the green, where he would rank 140th. Everything else is going to be top 50 or better, besides par 4 scoring, where he ranks 54th. Everything else is going to be top 25 or better. So Collin Morikawa has an 83% chance to make the cut, projecting him to score around 95 DK points this week. I think it's going to be a solid pick for us this week. Moving on into the next core play, it's going to be another player in the high tier price point range. That is going to be Corey Conners. Pretty much the exact same play there as Collin Morikawa. Corey Conners has great course history here, though. 19th, 31st, and 8th place finish. We'd love to see that. Pretty much the exact same thing, though, as Collin Morikawa, where he's not going to be that good in effective strokes gained around the green. 115 in that. Par 4 scoring ranks like 60th in that, but everything else is going to be top 24 or better. Effective total driving, effective ball striking, top 10 in that, top 25 in effective greens gain, effective scoring, top 20. So we really do like Corey Conners as a pick. Overall, top 10 in recent form, course history, and stat fit, checking all the boxes this week. There's going to be no reason for you to not play Corey Conners, especially at that 9.4 price point tag. Maybe you're going to be worried about him potentially, I don't know, just being due for a random miscut. I guess I could see that happening, but I more or less would see him going out and winning this week more than I would see him potentially missing the cut. Now moving on into our third core play of the week. I wonder how many of you guys could have seen this coming. It's going to be Joaquin Niemann again. I just wanted to retouch on Joaquin Niemann as a pick. 12 straight make cuts in a row, guys. Really solid course history. I always mention that, to be checking all the boxes, you want to see a player that has made 3 straight cuts in a row at a tournament with at least a top 30 finish, while he's finished 32nd, 31st, and 8th place in his last 3 starts here at this tournament. We love to see that. He's going to be the best stat fit in the field as well, which is crazy with how good of a field this is on the top end in terms of picks. He's going to be a top 5 pick in the model this week. I expect Joaquin Niemann to be able to go out and make the cut. Then looking at our last core play of the week, kind of priced up as well, we got Charlie Hoffman. So Charlie Hoffman I do like a lot as a pick. Going back to kind of my point about not really wanting to hang your hat on last year's tournament that much. The results are from that tournament. First event back from the COVID break, if you will. There's a lot higher variance when it comes to that. He ended up missing the cut there, but prior to that, he had finished 13th, 52nd, and 24th. He's going to be a top 10 stat fit here. Made 10 straight cuts in a row, guys, with pretty much all of them being top 20 finish, except for a 34th place finish at the Corrales, which is kind of just a head scratcher that every other event has been better than the Corrales there. So yeah, Charlie Hoffman going to be a good pick this week at 8.7. We're going to get a quality pick that has made 10 straight cuts in a row, good course history. Besides that miscut last year, Charlie Hoffman really not going to have a reason to fade him this week. If you guys want to use the tools at 95 Sports that we're seeing in this video, head on over there. It's going to be $10 a month for you. It's going to be the best value in PGA DFS. It's really just your one-stop shop for PGA DFS. Really been working hard on that, and we do have something new for you guys. It is going to be the Cut Sweat. It's just going to be for the top single entry contests in GPPs and in cash this week. Kind of just in beta right now, testing that out for you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.